For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss what is at stake in ANC presidential succession. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
You do not present the ANC presidential elections as offering a positive outcome.
Yeah, you know, I don't like working in positive, negative, optimistic, pessimistic, because they become substitutes for analyzing what the problems are that we face. We have to try to understand the problems and then try to work out ways of dealing with them. Now, I, as an intellectual, am not in a position just from my desk to say, no, there is a positive possibility or this is the way to do it, because in politics and in history, change is brought about not by individuals sitting at their desks. And what we have to do is say to ourselves, what is the problem we've got to address, and will the presidential succession, so-called, between the contestants for the succession, will the election of an ANC president automatically lead to a resolution of the problems? Now, there was that acronym in 2012, ABZ, anyone but Zuma, when they wanted to replace Zuma. And in that sense, there is some truth in that it's hard to imagine that anything can be more disastrous for the fate of this country than Jacob Zuma remaining as president. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't actually exclude the possibility that Zuma will run for a third term as ANC president. He's entitled to, but he says he won't. But I mean, I wouldn't exclude it, because if he comes to the conclusion that someone will become president who will not look after his interests, it's possible that he will decide to stay there if he thinks he can be re-elected. But the problem that I have, and I wrote about in this article, is that the candidates, the main candidates to succeed Jacob Zuma, have not articulated clear political programs of what they want to do. In the case of Nkosazana Dhlamini Zuma, I don't think that she is advancing anything any different from that of Jacob Zuma and the ANC of the present. In the case of Cyril Ramaphosa, you have this situation where he has been deputy since 2012, and it's a very difficult position to be deputy, because you can't be seen to be disloyal to the person who is the president. At the same time, if the president does something that is not in the interests of the country as you see it, or is unconstitutional as you see it, or is going to destroy the economy as you see it, what is your duty? And Cyril Ramaphosa, by his silence during Nkandla, the social grants scandal, and there was one other scandal I forget for the moment that I mentioned in the article. There's so many really, but for the moment I can't remember that one. But in the face of a range of different scandals relating to irregularity, graft, and then killings and so forth, Cyril Ramaphosa has been silent. And I can understand that as deputy president, it's hard for you to come out and just attack your head. And the closest that he has come to this is disagreeing with the cabinet reshuffle, which we know he, Mantashe, and Zweli Mkhize were reprimanded over that, and in Mantashe's words, it will never happen again, so that they were slapped down. Now, a couple of days later, it was said that Cyril Ramaphosa has a different take on protests to that of Zuma, and he says we must listen to people and all of that. And yesterday, I heard a little bit of him on the radio on radical economic transformation. And, you know, I didn't really feel that there was much conviction in it. I didn't feel that this person was offering something that would inspire me. Now, what I think is important, however, is to understand that it's not enough to put one person there. We need to correct a range of different things that have led to a breach of trust in institutions and in government, and in the case of the ANC, in the ANC. And my argument has been that it's important, if Ramaphosa were to become president, either through Zuma being removed now or through election at the end of the year, that he should understand that there is a disconnection between the masses in South Africa, between the poorest of the poor, the basic constituency which the ANC has, but also which the Constitution is pledged to remedy their needs. Now, since there is that disconnect, it's important to engage in a number of discussions where you listen to people, where you try to show them that government is responsive. Now, I'm not saying that Cyril Ramaphosa must do this, but whatever happens after Zuma, people have to recognize that there's a breakdown, there's a disconnect, there's a crisis, and you don't reprimand crises by making pronouncements. Now, something that's important to recognize is that we as citizens and also institutions of government can have some of their problems addressed before there's a change of presidency. Now, we've seen this, interestingly, through Mbalula becoming Minister of Police. Nhlanhla was removed through court action, but he said he's refusing to go. And Mbalula was very clear about this. Unlike Nhlanhla, who was going to go on appeal, he said, you're not going to have more money for fruitless appeals. Nhlanhla, you're an old man, you must go home and retire, that sort of thing. Now, we still have to see what happens next week, because Nhlanhla says he's merely on leave. But I think what's important to understand is you can make interim gains. And of course, there's also the question of the role of ordinary people in acting to try and bring about such changes. So I'm not optimistic if you just observe, but I do feel is if we look at what we can do, what can be done, what needs to be done, and have a clear plan, then there's nothing that cannot be changed.
And do you think the ANC can recover its former prestige?
See, the ANC is very badly damaged in the sense that it used to be a place where families would belong to the ANC, so that if your grandfather was, the father was, and mother was, then the children were. You have this case of Wilton Kwai, who was one of the, what they call the second Rivonia trialists, did about 26 years on Robben Island. When he was a schoolboy, his father posted him his ANC membership card. So the ANC used to have that special place culturally, not just politically, but almost culturally in people's homes. And I think that has ruptured, and the ANC is going to have to work very hard if it wants to recover that, let alone win elections. My sense is that, and I said this in my article for Al Jazeera, is that the lessons of the Indian Congress, the Congress of India, may be applicable to South Africa. They lost elections, they continue to limp along and limp along, won elections again. And when they won elections again, they were a shadow of their former self under people like Jawaharlal Nehru. And they've become very corrupt and things like this, which like the ANC has. Now they're out of power, but they may come back again. But ANC may be alive in many ways. And the Communist Party may be alive in the sense that they're visible and all of that. But what excited people about them, what inspired people about them is not there anymore. And I think it's going to be hard to correct this, although when there's a change of leader, we must not underestimate what can be done. And it's possible that new things could be done. I remember with Cyril Ramaphosa, one of his strengths was that he did used to delegate a lot of things. He knew that he was not able to do X or Y, or do X or Y very well, and he would ask people's advice, get people around him who worked very well, and maybe that could, anything will be better, but any change of leadership has dynamics which can lead to a change. But I wouldn't be messianic about this idea that when Cyril comes in, everything will be fine. I don't think it works like that.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about what is at stake in ANC presidential succession.